This is ACOT episode. I have lost count at this point because we don't record anymore.
We still record once a month, which is what we said we were gonna do.
The last time it was not a month ago. It was, I swear to God, the last time we recorded has got to have been September at least.
Whoa.
We definitely did not record in October. We just used a pre-recorded episode.
But there's an episode coming out a month ago,
Yeah.
so.
Which reminds me, we have not officially started. But I will say that, if we left you with a cliffhanger in the last episode about that story that I couldn't remember, I am sad to disappoint you because I have no fucking clue what the story
did not
was.
find out what the story was.
No, we did not find out. And on that note, we can begin by welcoming you to Wake Up if we remember how to do it.
Hi, I'm the pipe.
And I'm the water, and you're listening to a cup of tea. Oh, it just flows.
A podcast about exploring life through each other's eyes.
While sharing a cup of tea with you. Look at that. That actually, I'm surprised it worked.
I'm surprised too. I was not expecting that, but look at us.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so fun to be recording again. I was like very low. I mean, I was in very low energy before I arrived. I just feel like it's been so long since we recorded, and it's been so long since I feel like we had a flow. Last year we had like a flow, and everything was going very nicely. We would regularly have working meetings.
Yeah.
And then we would
record
once every week. And now we don't. We record every month. Asterisk. And we don't have meetings as often.
I guess not. I feel like between schedules and part-time jobs
But I feel like that's like not even an excuse. I mean, we basically work at the same days.
But like you said the other day, we used to have lunch meetings on Mondays, and that doesn't work if we don't have the same lunch break.
Yeah, that is really sad. Because we could have had one last Monday, but which last Monday felt like Friday for who knows what reason. But I was all over the city, which was really fun. It was.
You were all over the city on Monday?
Why? I mean, not all over the city, but I went downtown. I went to Mount Pleasant to drop off some files that I needed to hand over to people. And then I went to Meg to try on ski outfits, which was very excited. Which was like around the same area, and it was not all over the city. It was basically the same area because from Mount Pleasant I went to Costco, and then I had inventory shift at Zulu.
Was that your
That
overnight?
was overnight. Yeah.
Oh no.
No, I think there's another one actually. This one was from 7 to 11. I think there's a 9 to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't know when that was coming, but yeah. So, I couldn't have seen you on Monday, which we don't hang out anymore. Hi, technical. Anyway,
we don't hang out anymore.
Not as much
as hanging out or like as working.
Neither.
But we still see each other, so I'm like, so what do we do when we do see each other?
We record start by saying hi most of the time. And then I call you when you don't answer the phone.
Yeah, she's been being dramatic about that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say we spent at least half less time together. The past 6 months, I want to say.
I feel like 6 months is a lot.
Okay, 3 months maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a since the fall.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I do think it's mostly, I want to say, if we were recording ACOT every week, And now we don't. I think a lot of that time is where it's missing.
But that was one day.
Yeah, but
No.
it was like a whole afternoon.
Well, yeah, but okay, we would have Mondays
Lunch.
for lunch,
Uh-huh.
and then sometimes afterward we would stay and work on more stuff.
A little.
Wednesdays, and then during the weekend we would usually do something.
I would
either
also
Friday
leave for
night-
lunch on Fridays and Saturdays. Well, Saturdays, but Fridays. We used to have Fridays and Mondays lunch, and that I think that's where it feels like we don't hang out.
Yeah, we're not friends anymore. This is at this point a fake podcast where it's not. What is it? I can't tie two sentences together. Anyway, we're not friends anymore. That was a point.
Yeah.
This is fake. This is the end of ACOT. Thanks for watching. Just listening.
Uh-huh.
I think I know where it all started going downhill, actually, now that I think about it. And it ties into what I thought would be the topic of today.
Okay.
Because around September,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed because, I mean, I remember like the date because it was after the like a Brands for Better thing that we went to.
Mm-hmm.
It was for some reason a different date because the Vancouver Design Festival was that week, and it was part of that, and so it was a 20 something of September, like 23rd, 24th or something. And then the next day I was so sick.
Mhm.
I could not. I started the day and I started doing laundry, and while I was doing it I was just so tired and feeling like kind of bad, and so I put everything in the laundry, and then I took a turn, went to the TV couch, plopped myself in there to watch Emily in Paris, and just napped for like 2 hours or something. And Lene came downstairs and she was like, "Oh, she's sleeping." And she does this. I mean, it's kind of funny.
Mhm.
I jokingly say that it's annoying and I tease her about it, but whenever you're sleeping, she comes in, she sneaks in and starts taking photos.
Uh-huh.
And then she uses them as stickers, which she's done to me and to Max. And I've gotten back to her, like I've gotten revenge back at her. And now I have photos of her sleeping. But yeah, so I started sleeping a lot, and I was like, I guess I'm pretty sick.
Mhm.
And I was coughing, and I know, oh yeah, I know, because the weekend prior to that event, we had recorded another episode of Stop by Saying Hi. And while we were recording, which is coming out this Saturday, by the way, while we were recording, I felt like my ears being plugged.
Oh.
And it's like, fuck, that means I'm gonna get sick.
Mhm.
Because that's what I usually now. Safito keeps being like suicidal today or something.
She's being very playful.
Yeah, so I was like, my ears are a little plugged. This sounds kind of like every time I get sick lately, will I get sick?
Hmm.
And then on that Tuesday, I was being very like stupid, I guess, because I was wearing a sweater and it was starting to get cold.
Mhm.
But we were moving chairs and tables around and a bunch of stuff. So I took my hoodie off or whatever I was wearing, and I just walked around with a very small t-shirt top. Anyway. And so I felt cold. I was like, it's fine.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't fine because then I was dying for 1 week, basically. Which I hadn't died that bad. Like I had gotten like a minor cold or something last year, I feel like. But nothing that truly rendered me useless for 4 days in a row.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it fucked me over. Because I could not, like I wanted to do stuff, but I couldn't. And it was honestly like a trip to let myself be sick and not have to worry about doing stuff.
Hmm.
So it kind of, I mean, it reminded me a little bit of when I was, I don't know, injured before or something like that, when I had to be patient with myself and let it heal and give it time, and then I would go back and be fine. But I started off being very impatient, and like the first day I thought, okay, I will give myself today. And then tomorrow I'll be fine. I'll be good. It'll have gone away. And it just got worse. And my grandma called me, or I called her. She was like, well, you need to go to the doctor. Because, that night, I think it was that same night on like that Wednesday, that fatal Wednesday, that the morning I was napping and whatever, and then in the afternoon I was feeling better. So I had called her before. She called me back, and I was like, oh yeah, I was feeling a little sick, and I had a cough, and my head hurt a little bit, but now I think I'm fine. And she said, no, go to the doctor, get some antibiotics or something, or maybe antivirals, but go see what's the problem. And she's very paranoid about those things. I mean, there was for a while now, I feel like since I was in high school, kind of, my brother, whenever he got sick, she would pack him full of stuff. And I was more like, you know what? Let's not do that. I rather write it out myself. And it got me thinking, and I was talking to Mia, my roommate, about it, and she was like, it's so funny how some people get so like, oh, street antibiotics. And I was like, I think it's a Mexican thing that people run for antibiotics the first thing you see, hear, or anything.
It's a Mexican thing to go to antibiotics?
Yeah, I think so. From what we were talking, we
Like you and
kind
me,
of included, yeah. Because, for example, here, or my first experience with this shift in, I guess, mentality, I would say, was when I was in Sweden. People were always like, if you're sick, just stay home for 2 or 3 days and take Tylenol and you'll be fine. And I was like, I mean, that sounds okay, but what do you mean? Like, you don't go to the doctor, you don't do anything about it? And no, people are just super chill about it. And I feel like the same thing happens here where, oh, yeah, you'll just write it out. And I don't know if it stems from healthcare being so like overwhelmed, like the healthcare systems, which in spite of them being free, they're somewhat inaccessible, I feel like. So I think it's a combination of they were forced down that path. And also, it's not a bad path. It's not a bad path to take. Anyway, so yeah, I was just thinking about that a lot. And so when my grandma was like, yeah, go to the doctor the next day, I was like, I don't even know where I would go. I mean, I know where I would go to the hospital.
Yep.
Which is like 4 blocks down my house, but that's very extreme.
Every time I've been sick here, I just go to the hospital.
And then if there's a clinic, I mean, I think there's a couple of clinics around, but most of them don't take walk-ins, so I don't even know how I would approach that. And I was just like, I'm not gonna deal with that. I'll just write it out. And so the next day, after having felt better that Wednesday afternoon, I was like, I'm doing so much better. This is going great. Next morning, I was dying again. I was like, I couldn't even get off the bed. It was terrible. I honestly, I mean, now I laugh about it and whatever, but at the time I was like, what is happening? I had not gotten this sick in so long. And so my grandma called me and she's like, did you go to the hospital? I was like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I am taking, against my better judgment, or against my will rather, I am taking these antihistaminics that you gave me, so I am doing something instead of doing nothing, like I always do. And so she was like, no. I mean, that's good, but you need to get more of them and get cough syrup and something she kept yapping about antibacterial, not antibacterial, antibiotics. And I was like, I really don't. I mean, it's a viral thing most likely. I don't have a fever or anything. And it's, just a very bad cold. So whatever. So yeah, that kept going on Thursday, and then on Friday. And on Saturday I think I was feeling a little bit better. But it was the same thing, sort of. I had to give up, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
on
Fighting the
not fighting the thing necessarily. I mean, I was like fighting the thing, but I was just making myself chai and
thing. Mm-hmm.
wearing a bunch of like warm clothes and not letting myself be cold. And we um we didn't go to the gym for the first 3 days, I think, and on the fourth day I was like, I think I can go back to the gym, but I will not go like at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just that's when I started wearing my like winter jacket
Mm-hmm.
when it wasn't even that cold outside. And I remember walking back and I was freezing and I was like, oh, this is so bad. I can feel, the sweaty t-shirt and the air coming in through the hoodie underneath. Oh, that was so bad. Um and we were in the gym and I was like, I can't, like, we were doing push-ups or something. I was like, I can't keep going. I can't. I have to stop.
Mm.
And it was very sad. Yeah, so it just got me thinking about, I think, something that's like kind of permanently there in my brain in some way. Because, and I was talking to Anna, my cousin, yesterday, and she said something about how she's noticed the decline, like the cognitive decline of one of my uncles, who doesn't remember so many, like, as many things anymore. And we were talking about him and my grandma. And because it's like a recurring theme about the older people in my life who I can see have less ability to do a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a battle between their awareness of it, but their unwillingness to accept it somewhat. Or I don't know, there's like this struggle between, oh, I can't do what I used to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do these things. And also another, like, defeating, a sense of defeat or something. I don't know. So I was thinking about it again in terms of me, because I thought, oh, I have it down. Like, I
Yeah.
know, um, like, previous experiences have taught me to slow down when I have to,
Mm.
and take time to, heal or whatever. But this time I was thinking about it more like, oh, what if I couldn't go back to how I was before?
Oh,
You
for
know?
some reason,
Yeah, for some reason.
some sickness or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, because that was the first thing that happened to me. Like, I was like, Wednesday is off. And then tomorrow will be good to go.
Mhm.
And I wasn't. So I was tripping a little bit about that. Um just like, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's like one of those things that, and I was thinking of Pablo actually,
Mhm.
because of that, the time when we were talking about, oh yeah, discipline, and it takes time, but we're like in a really good place. And he was like, but how do you get there? And we were going like, you have to go through the whole thing, and then you eventually get to the other side where you've been through it and now you know how to deal with stuff.
Mhm.
And so I was kind of thinking about that, and also like, oh yeah, I've been through it, I know how to deal with it. But then I was just tripping about, oh, what if I don't actually? Like, what if I think I have it down and I know what to do and I know how to accept my limitations or whatever? Um, but if one thing is to think that I do and the other one is
Mhm.
when it actually happens. Um, so yeah, it was interesting. And I was sick for so long. Like, that cough I had for, I think, 2 weeks.
Mhm.
It was very sucky. Um, but yeah, that was the initial idea behind today's episode, at least, being sick and having to take time and regroup after being running around for so long. I feel like because the summer we spent doing so many things, and one recording and another recording and another, like when we had 2 servicing high episodes back to back.
Crazy.
And yeah, it was an interesting time to being forced to slow down. Yeah.
It's funny because, like, I don't know what it was, but it was so bad. I think Pablo was the first one of the three of us to get it.
His fault.
I don't know how he got it, but I do think he got the worst of the three of us.
Really?
He had a fever, and it was really, really bad. It was super high, and he ended up he had the cold, but I think the fever made it so that he got a bunch of sores in his mouth. And that was the worst part. Like, it was like sores. My brain. It was sores in his mouth. And the worst part was like the roof of his mouth, and he couldn't eat and he could barely drink anything. So, like, keeping himself fed was very difficult. And it hurt. And even once the fever went away, the cold kind of phased out, the mouthing just went on. And within this whole issue we have where, like, we don't know where to go to the doctor, or like, I know that walk-in clinics around my house are not taking walk-ins. So whenever something happens to me or Pablo, we end up going to the hospital. So we took him to the hospital, and yeah, for the cold, it was just like, just take Tylenol and survive. And they did send him a prescription for a mouthwash, a magical mouthwash. But it took the pharmacy 2 weeks to make it.
Oh, they had to make it?
They had to make it. We went to like a Shoppers or whatever, and they had to make it. They said it was going to take 2 weeks. I think it took like one. He finally got it. Yeah, by the time he got the magical mouthwash, it was really bad. But the mouthwash actually helped.
Yeah.
And it still took him like another week or so to get better. After he got sick, I got sick, and on top, like, he got the cold and the sores. And then I got the cold, and I think what had me worst was like my chest, and at times I felt like I couldn't breathe and stuff like that. And it also was really long. So I think it just like jumped over between us. And then you got it.
I see it. I mean, Pablo's not here, but if you were, I'd be looking meanly at him.
Yeah. I don't know where he got it, but that was such a bad cold for all of us. It was just like,
yeah,
not just a cold. For all of us, it had some sort of like extra, how about this also?
Yeah, I mean, the ear thing, I mean, I didn't get sores and I didn't get the chest thing. I think maybe, I mean, I could see, well, I don't know if you get this on like the health app if you don't have the watch, but it can tell you like your average breaths per minute at night.
Oh, wow.
And stuff. And I could see like my average like rest heart rate thing. The words are escaping, but my average pulse at rest went up, like if it's normally like 58 or between 58 and 62 or something, it went up to 70, like 75.
Okay.
One day it was super high. And there was this one time, I think it might have been the Thursday or the Friday, when the dogs escaped. And so Mia called me and she was like, oh my God. So I just got a call from this neighbor that told me that the dogs escaped and he has them. He saw them. He took them in his house.
Oh.
So they're with him.
Okay.
Could you go get them? I had to walk. So there's an alley behind the house. I had to go around the back and walk like, I think it was a third house down. My God. I was sweating as if I'd been running for like 2 hours. I don't know. It was crazy. I could barely walk. And I was just like, and it was insane. And I remember that like shortness of breath and the sweating, like stepping in a fucking sauna or something. It was insane. So got to his house. I was like, oh, hi, I'm here to I also had no voice by this point. Hi, I'm here to pick up the dogs and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, yeah, no worries. I gave them a treat. I hope it's fine. Like, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, they don't deserve it, but thank you. Got them back. Walked with them. And same thing. It was and it was downhill. Like, like mild hill, right? I could not. It was so bad. And then I told Mia about it. I was like, I was dying. I could not. I mean, I evidently could make it back home, but I felt like I was gonna pass out. It was so weird. Like, okay, then it wasn't just me. Who gave it? I want to know who gave it to
Who started it?
And if we gave it, I don't feel like we gave it to anybody else. I mean, we might
I don't
have,
think
but
so.
I haven't heard anyone else.
Yeah, especially that had it as bad as we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, one of the things that I was really worried about, and I get very worried about whenever I get a cold, is that it might go to my ears, actually, because I once had like a really, really bad ear infection. I had a throat infection and it went to my ears. And I think it was like the worst thing, not the worst thing, but one of the worst things I've experienced. And my doctor at the time, but this is back in Mexico, he was like, do not get another throat infection. It will go to your ears and it will be worse than this. And like it's a curse. You're cursed now, and if it happens again, it will be awful. You will regret it. It'll be really, really bad. So he spared me.
It was really, really bad for me.
I am so thankful that it did not go to my ears. I am afraid for my life when something happens.
I mean, I think it might have scared you a little much because it was very uncomfortable because I had always, during those days, I had one of my ears plugged the entire time. Like it would go from one to the other, and I felt like I couldn't hear anything. And it was also the time. It not really.
I remember my ear infection hurt a lot. I think that was my problem.
Well, no, mine didn't hurt. It was just very annoying, and I couldn't hear anything. And so that week of not hearing, it wasn't just I was deaf. It was that I remember that it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then on Saturday, that's when I started working the part-time job at Lululemon, and I had my first shift or something. At the store, it was like a training shift, and I was supposed to be doing some training on the like online platform that they have, and then also I had to shadow one of the girls, I think, through the day, and they put me in the fitting rooms. And you're standing there, and there's always somebody in the fitting room. And you know how people like you, if you're a customer usually or a guest, you come in and they ask you for your name, and you give the people you give them your name or whatever. And I could not hear people's names. That was the first thing. They would be like, "Oh, my name's Mika." I was like, I can't lip read. I'm sorry, what? And then every couple minutes of something, you would knock on the door and you're like, "Oh, hi, Mika. Are everything okay?" And they reply. I mean, some people don't reply, but I couldn't hear anything from behind the door. So I was like, this is so bad. And I was also so tired, and I could barely hold on like to my life at that moment. And I was thinking, should I tell them that I feel really sick and go home, or should I write it out? And then I ended up writing it out. We had lunch, I think at 3 or something, and there was these 2 girls, and they asked me if, "Oh, do you wanna go grab lunch or something?" At the moment, I didn't particularly like one of them, and I thought she was very presumptuous and very, like, fake. Um, I don't think she's that bad. She's not my cup of tea, but whatever. But she was like, "Oh, do you guys wanna go?" We had to join a Zoom meeting,
Mm.
at 3:30 or something, so we had half an hour to go grab lunch and then come back and do the thing.
Mhm.
So she was like, "Oh, what if we go to Cactus? And then we, like, set up the computer and we can watch it there." And I was like, "Sure, that's fine." We could have gone to Whole Foods and gotten soup, which was what I wanted to do, but that we had the one computer that they had, uh, so we had to, like, do it together. And I was like, "Sure, fine, I guess maybe Cactus has soup." And spoiler alert, they don't.
They don't have any
They don't have any fucking soup at all, which was very sad. So I just started drinking hot water. The entire time I just got myself, I was like, the waiter. The waiter arrived and I was like, "Hi, can I have a jug of cold of hot water, please?" And so um she brought me a cup with some lemon, and I I'm actually surprised at how I did not scald myself during those 2 weeks. I was drinking hot water like a maniac.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and I liked it, which is the worst part. Now I don't. I go back to it, and I'm like, "Nah, I can live with
Only
it."
when you're sick, apparently.
Yeah. But it was so nice because I could breathe and I could hear it unplugged my ears a tiny bit as well. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know what this magic is, but this is phenomenal because I'm not coughing and I didn't even have a runny nose, but I was like, I can breathe a little more easily.
Mm.
Life is beautiful." And I was popping cough drops also like crazy. Um, so yeah, it was fun. It was great. I feel like that was my sickness for the season. I am I declared it to the universe. I will not get sick again until the winter's over. And then the rest of the year I'll be fine, you know? So yeah.
That'd be nice. Not sick again until
Yeah.
at least for a whole year.
Exactly. It's like I feel like it makes sense, you know? You get hit by some massive virus
Yeah.
and then you fight it and like
That
you
makes
have
you-
trained your
yeah.
immune system to be like, nobody's messing with me for the foreseeable future. And then I don't know, you get a batshit crazy virus again from Pablo, and then maybe you'll be back on the floor. But not for another year, at least.
That is my hope. That would be lovely. But let's go back to the whole thing of you being scared to not recover.
I mean, it was just a passing thought.
Okay.
Um, but it's part of I guess the longevity trait.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, and just because it's such a big thing, I think,
Mhm.
that not a lot of people think about. And I've thought about it in several instances.
Mhm.
Because, for example, so you fall and you know how people start saying, "Oh, I'm 30 and I'm old." And last time I was in Mexico, I was having lunch with my uncle and he was laughing. He was cackling at the fact that he helped one of my cousins move, I think, or some moving apartments story, moving furniture. And my cousin, who is 30, was like, "Oh my God, I understand now your back pain and your complaints because this sucks." And this is a very healthy cousin I'm talking about. He's a gym rat. He um maybe doesn't have the best sleep in the world because he's a pilot, so
Mm.
I don't know. He's very easily stressed. So, not 10 out of 10, but he's not so bad. And I was just thinking about how that sort of you start having like cascading problems when you age, and it's harder to recover from them. And I was also reading this thing about how uh on average, like the actual peak of fitness that you can have in your life is when you're 40.
Mm.
And around your 40s it actually starts declining. um
You're still good during your 30s, though.
yeah, in general. um but it just feels like, honestly, kind of like an uphill battle in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just finished re-listening to Outlive, which was funny because I finished on the exact same date last year. I didn't plan on it, it just happened, which was really funny. Um and there was this part where Peter's talking about, I maybe haven't gotten to that part yet. Um But he's talking about, decline through age and whatever, and how you may be fit now and you can carry your groceries up the stairs
Mm-hmm.
when you're 20, but you should be training to keep doing it when you're 60, because at this rate, if you're not doing it now, you won't be able to do. I mean, if you can do it now and you're fine, the trend points at the fact that you won't be able to when you're 60 something or 70 something. um like if you're not consciously doing an effort to improve your strength and your mobility and your stamina, then you will just keep losing it as you age.
Mm.
And when you're 40, you have to, like, right now you can easily increase it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 40, you should be aiming for maintaining it.
Mm-hmm.
um and so I was just thinking about how, people fracture hips. And somebody who recently fell, I don't know who it was, but they told me, like, oh yeah, I fell and I broke my hip. And I was just thinking, like, if you don't recover from that, you will likely die. I mean, it was an older person that I'm talking about, like 60 something. Um and it sounded very dramatic to the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I mean, I I've been reading a lot about this, and the statistics say that if you are over 70,
Mm-hmm.
you fall and you break any bone,
Mm-hmm.
basically, your risk of death within the next year more than doubles,
But why?
because you stop moving. So, especially lower limbs, like if you break an arm, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it generally means less movement, and so less movement equals
Death.
even
Okay.
like faster declining health.
Okay.
Yeah, you're at higher, like a double or triple the risk of dying within the next year. Yeah, I mean, some people survive a very long time.
Yeah.
And there's this my grandma has this aunt who only died until relatively recently, and she lived with a broken hip for like 5 or 6 years or something. So she constantly lived in pain. She couldn't go up and down the stairs. She had to be taken care of
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Um, so I would always just think, what a horrible way to live.
Damn.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I was just thinking about it, and like, that's one side, and then the other one was having to come to terms with, if you actually can't.
Mm.
Because I was remember, like, for example, my dad, when we almost chopped his finger off, right? If we had actually chopped his finger off, that's something that you can fully recover from.
Mm-hmm.
You have half a finger instead of a full one. Um so yeah, it was just like a passing thought, but I was kind of contemplating what would that feel like?
Hmm.
A grieving process in some way, and then
Yeah.
adapting to whatever you can do. And I guess it's just a matter of like the attitude that you have towards it and what you like, the kind of life you want to have anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and it was kind of funny that I don't know if it was just now that I remember I was walking here and I remembered um just like kind of like I was thinking a lot about the past year, and I think it's very on time to with this being the last episode of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, I was walking down the street and yesterday I was writing on my one line a day journal, which I'm very bad at now. Um but I was yeah, like reading the last 2 years notes. Um and remember when I first arrived, and we've been saying a lot lately whenever we pitch start by saying hi or we talk about somebody else, we're like, oh yeah, when we first moved to Vancouver and we had no friends and it was very hard
Mm-hmm.
meeting people. And I was reading, so we keep saying that. Then I was reading my notes and I was like, man, I was in such a bad place
Mm-hmm.
when we first came here, or when especially when I arrived. I was like, it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just, I don't know, kind of admiring in a way the shift over the last year, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, literally, I guess, over the last year. Um, and just kind of appreciating how things turned out and how I am out of that, like, what's the name of that dark night of the soul? Is that the name? Yeah. Uh, out of that dark night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like I was going somewhere else with this. But yeah, it was just funny. It was interesting to think about it. Um, like from a being healthy perspective, or and taking time to get better instead of like, because over the, as we said before, like over the last, I don't know, 3 months since the summer, we had been working a lot and doing a lot of a bunch of stuff. Um, it felt really good to be doing a bunch of stuff.
Hmm.
And so I had to, like, I felt like I had to keep it going. But then it was a good reminder to, I mean, it's okay that you have a lot of things to do,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to be at 100% all the time. And there was this, there's this, um, kind of notion I've been, I don't know if battling, but thinking about like how much of my energy I give to other people and how much effort I put into stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so also it was like a good time to take
Back?
account of that
Mm.
as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you reach any conclusions?
I mean, somewhat. It I've just felt like over the last longer than 2 years, um, I've thought a lot about how there are certain people that I can do a lot of stuff for,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mind if I don't get that back necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But then I reached a point with a few people as well in which I can't do that, or I used to do that, but I can't do it anymore. Like, it's taking a toll on me to do it because I feel like, oh yeah, I care a lot about you and I do all these things, but I don't get them back. So you know what? I'm not gonna. And that doesn't mean that I don't love you anymore or that I don't care about you anymore, but I just don't have the energy to be putting up with you.
Fair.
So yeah, it was kind of similar. And it reminded me, especially even also yesterday when I was talking to my cousin, because she asked me, "Oh, are you still going to therapy?" And I said no, because I feel like I got what I needed out of that one therapist, the last therapist I was seeing. Like she got me into a good place, and I then felt like I could
Handle it.
yeah. Which one of the things she was saying a lot was that, like, take don't feel bad if you can't give more stuff to other people, and if they don't give it back to you. I mean, you don't have to forcefully be like, I want the retribution. I want to be paid back in the exact same amount that I gave you. But yeah, like some reciprocity. So yeah, it was nice. And I feel like now, especially, it seems to me like I'm very aware of that. So when I am in a situation or in a position where I'm like, oh, this is not being fair, I more easily get out of that.
Okay.
Or call it out, or I don't know. Yeah. This felt like a therapy session. Somewhat.
I guess I can see it.
Yeah.
So since it's therapy session or whatever, and we're closing, so I'm just wondering, not from the, because I feel like I got the answer of the conclusion of this just now, but with the whole sort of reflection on the being sick, the not recovering, the what is it, the outlive thing,
The decline?
no, I mean, yeah, the longevity train that you've been on for quite a while.
I mean, I'm biased. I am biased, but I think it's a great one to be on.
I think so. I would agree. But you feel like, obviously you're not sick right now,
Yeah, no.
but like, do you feel okay? Do you still, like, I don't know, like, where you at? Yeah.
I feel okay. I feel in like physical well-being, I feel really good. My phone asked me or some the other day. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but now there's this thing on the Apple Health or the workout, like on the watch workouts kind of section, that asks you, similar I think to the Garmin, if I remember from my brother's watch. It asks you how well you felt during your workout. So it says, oh, from 1 to 9, I think. Rate it as it was very easy. It was moderately fine. Like, it was super easy. You could have kept going for 20 more hours. It was moderately easy or hard. It was okay, but like you could have kept going, but it was slightly uncomfortable. And then it was hard. You were dying. And so it got me like this thing where I've gotten like a good I think it's a good balance of between like challenging and easy stuff. So it was saying something like, "Oh, you're doing really well. Like you don't need to." It doesn't quite give you like a recovery percentage or a recovery score the way my brother's watch does, where it tells you, "Oh, you need 36 hours to recover around your last day or whatever." I really want one of those, but anyway, um, but it kind of gives you a graph. It tells you, oh, how much effort have you been putting in? How is your body responding to it? Are you tired or you're not tired or whatever? So short answer is I'm feeling really good. And but at the same time, I feel like I'm a hamster. I'm in a hamster wheel a little bit with a bunch of things that I've had to do since the week or two before the first episode of Star Wars Saying Hi came out, when I had to do a lot of work on that and then other stuff at the same time, and it was a little crazy. Like last week, I felt like I was gonna have some time off because I had no part-time job shifts scheduled. But then I took on renovating a kitchen, which took a lot longer than I planned. I mean, I thought it would take a day. It ended up taking 2, and it's not even ready yet. Fun stuff. So it's been pretty busy, pretty hectic, and in a way that I don't like. Because it feels chaotic. It feels like I'm trying to catch, like, those cartoons where you're like trying to catch things. That's what it's felt like.
Because there is a way in which the hamster wheel, to use the same thing, kind of feels fun and engaging. I want to say, I feel like there's a flow of, like, you're in the, it's hectic but it's fun, or like you can keep going and stuff. But I understand when you say that it's, this one at least is in a bad way, in a non-fun way.
Yeah, because it's being like, I mean, I like having things to do. And I love it when it's like, oh, my week has so many things that I'm doing, but it's cool. And or maybe it's not, I mean, it's not all just funsies, There's some, like, a lot of work to do here, and I have to go all these places, but it's okay. But in this case, it feels more like I feel like I'm out of control when basic survival things are not being done. So like I hadn't gone through, like, I hadn't done a grocery shop.
Oh, I see.
In like, what basic survival things? Like, yeah, like 2 weeks or something. My fridge was literally, it was only because I can drop by Whole Foods on my way to Lululemon that I can stop and buy eggs. And that's why there are eggs in the fridge. Because otherwise, I would not go to any other, like, I mean, there are plenty of grocery stores by my house, but I would not go out of my way, like, oh, I'm gonna go and buy them. No. And then there was some other thing. Oh yeah, I hadn't done laundry in like almost 2 weeks. And I was like, no, I hate it because I kind of sound like my grandma. I like either of them, but I actually like folding clothes now. Oh, it's just very peaceful. It's very like meditative, and I don't mind it at all. So
That's really funny.
also I like, the smell of fresh laundry, and it's nice to have clean clothes. So it was just like those like small daily things that I was not doing. It was like, and it's not even that big of a deal, but it takes a ginormous mental toll. So, I do have clean laundry, and my fridge has been stocked on Monday. So that makes me very happy.
Does that make it less hectic now?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. It has felt a lot more chill. Yeah.
All right.
Since that moment.
There you go. I think
And
we've come to a good place.
yes, we have eventually. Any closing remarks on this last episode of the year in the 2 minutes of episode we have left?
Ooh. I feel like that would be a separate episode of like thoughts on last year.
Well, maybe we can make a special episode.
Yeah. I just I do have thoughts. But like very short. I because I know how you say that you're very bad at your 1 line a day journal. I found a way that it works for me where I don't do it daily, and it doesn't work to do it daily, but I'll forget about it for like a week or 2, and then I'll catch up.
I've tried, but it hasn't been working 100%. Like, I can catch up to the last 5 days, and that's about it. Like, my memory is not as detailed for the previous, unless there is something particularly eventful on a certain day, and then I go, oh yes, I did this and this and this, and then I can kind of trace it back from there. Otherwise,
Wait, yours doesn't have prompts, right?
no.
That's the
No.
thing. Mine has prompts.
Oh,
So-
that's cheating.
So some of them are not necessarily like it has to be about today, you know. And I'm not super harsh on, because 5 years from now, I'm sure I'm not gonna care if I answered October 3rd on October 20th. It's gonna be the same.
Third on 20. I mean,
I was just saying numbers, but
broadly speaking, sure.
I think it's okay. So that's how I've been doing it, and it works. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with this. I've signed a contract with myself when we agree. And along the lines of looking back, because at least for me, my journal, like this is the first year that I'm gonna do the full year, so I'm very excited to finish the first year and start next year looking at last year. But I feel it's interesting to see how this year has been different from the last in like nuances and like ups and downs and things.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about how we had a very outdoorsy year last year, and this year hasn't been as outdoorsy. And I don't know. I know that there's more thoughts. I don't want to get into it and start like a whole new episode right now. But I think it'd be interesting to like look at last year and look at this year. Yeah. I think also it's an honorable mention to talk about how Start by Saying Hi is out now.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing. Yeah, on its own. So many things.
Any recs?
I do have rec because of Pablo. I just started watching this show called Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. It's really cool. I've only watched 2 episodes, and it's really cool.
Okay.
It's like an anime kind of thing. Is it? I don't. Maybe not. Maybe
I was gonna say, is it a cartoon?
it is
like
animated. It is animated. I don't know that I can say that it's anime. Maybe it is. I'm not old enough to know the definition, but
I mean, anime is the genre of Japanese.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Japanese. Pretty sure. But it is animated. It's cool. Watch it.
Okay, cool. I have I restarted using conditioner.
Where did you stop?
About a year ago,
Why?
I think. Because I didn't have dyed hair anymore, so it's like I'm gonna skip it.
Interesting.
But then I was going back on like actually old ACOT episodes. It's like, oh, my hair looks so nice. And I was just feeling like it was a little bland. It was not being as wavy as before. So it was funny because I went into Lush to get my shampoo, and this guy was like, "Oh, would you like to try this violet cream?" I think it's the name. That here. I'm pretty sure it's violet cream though. So that's my rec. It's supposed to be for like either bleach hair or gray hair or blonde hair. But I love how it smells and I don't care. And I don't know how like my hair is so nice now. Because I mean it wasn't terrible before, but I just love it. So that's my rec.
Okay.
Yes. And on that note, we've been drinking chai the whole episode.
Thank you. I was waiting. I was like, when are we going to say what you were drinking?
I was gonna say it was like a cliffhanger, but it was just to like keep them on their toes.
Oh yeah. I thought maybe it would go on said, and
mystery.
I dreamed of, I wishfully dreamed of comments on the episode being like, wait, you guys didn't say what tea you're drinking.
Oh, that would be great.
But now we said it. So
yeah. And on that note, we will see you next month, maybe.
We'll see. Bye.
Thanks for sharing a cup of tea with us.
To watch more episodes of A Cup of Tea, click the link on the right. If you want to watch Pockets in the Universe, go to the playlist on the left.